welcome back. Chapter 15. I hadn't spoken the entire way back to South Carolina. He probably thought I was doing it to be mean. It was a kindness. When we pulled into the drive of the beachfront mansion I'd picked him up from the other day, I was at least calm enough to talk. Maybe not pleasantly, but it was an improvement. And what if I wanted to stay at my place? What's so much better about yours? Besides a few thousand square feet, probably a lot more bedrooms, what looked to be a wraparound deck, and well, whatever. It was still his, so it wasn't that great. Besides the obvious reasons, I've got more bedrooms. So what? So I don't want to sleep on your couch like a homeless person. We pulled into the garage. If I had plans to stay on, I might have a bone to pick with Harold over pay discrepancies. Fate was living like a CEO while I existed on a hot dog budget, and not even good hot dogs, but the value packs. I begrudgingly got out of the car and followed him. Inside, the place actually seemed warm and inviting. I could imagine resting on one of the brown leather sofas near the huge stone fireplace, relaxing while I watched the waves break through one of the many sets of French doors that line the eastern wall facing the ocean. Even a high pile area rug on the knotty rusted wood floors appealed to me. Who was your decorator? I was. Sure you were. We need to lay down some ground rules. Tread softly. I don't even want to be here. I looked over at him and couldn't stop my eyes from rolling. Was he going to be one of those people? Don't do this, don't do that, don't touch this, don't touch that. He didn't seem the type, but you never knew. I think it's best if we share a bed. My stomach did a flip flop and my pulse instantly racketed up. I'm not sleeping with you. There, I got it out. Unless you kiss me into submission. Oh no, where did that come from? I'm a harlot. I died and became a slut. I'm not asking you to have sex with me. Just sleep next to me. I think it would help tap into what's left of your human psyche. He walked over to one of the couches that wasn't far from me, where he couldn't seem to stop himself from leaning his hip. He crossed his arms in front of him while he waited for me to respond. Oh, that was kind of disappointing. It was one thing for me to think it was a bad idea, but I still wanted him to want me. Why didn't he want me? I was a cute dead chick. It's not that you aren't attractive, it's just not a good idea. I wanted to crawl under a rock. He could tell I was disappointed. When have I ever expressed any interest in sleeping with you? I really don't need a soft let down talk. I should be giving you the soft let down. I hooked a thumb towards myself. You really going to try and deny this again? His eyebrows were raised and his facial expression screamed, you couldn't have forgotten this quickly, how you reached to me in the woods. I wrapped one arm around my waist, all of a sudden feeling self-conscious. I knew this shirt had made me look frumpy. I had the sudden urge to go change my outfit, but I wouldn't. Don't forget, you kissed me, I reminded him. Minor detail. There was only one way to handle it now. Own it or flip it. It was my only chance of hanging on to some pride. Even if I did acknowledge that you might be attractive in a certain rough around the edges way, it doesn't mean I'd act on it. If you haven't noticed, I don't particularly like you, and I'm not one of those girls. Those girls? He asked. Yes, I'm sure you know the type, girls with issues. You think I can't get a normal, healthy woman? I scrunched up my face in a false apology. I would be a bit surprised. If I wanted to sleep with you, it would be done. It would be a done deal. But we work together, so it's not a good idea. I don't do those eyes. He pushed off the couch and actually used both legs for once. Doe eyes? You know, the way human women get when they start liking a guy. You think I'd fall all over you because we had sex? Pretty much. You're greatly overestimating yourself, or at least I really hope so. No, I'm not. Maybe I'm not the almighty fate, but I'm a grown woman. I think I can handle it. Yeah, I'm sure Charlie was a real powerhouse in bed. The minute he mentioned Charlie, any teasing nature of the conversation died. I froze in my spot, my body growing unnaturally tense, and the atmosphere changed drastically. Don't talk about Charlie. The tone of my voice made it clear he crossed the line. This was not somewhere he wanted to go. He didn't respond right away. He watched me for a minute before he finally nodded. A silent acknowledgement, if not exactly an apology, that he had pushed too far. I watched as he walked over to a drawer and wondered why the hell he even brought up my past with Charlie. The more time I spent with fate, the worse I read him. It was the exact opposite of what normally happened. I should be able to read him like a book by now, but nothing ever felt normal around him. He brought a handful of index cards back over and laid them on a wooden table between the couches, and I walked over to see what he was up to. As of right now, this is what we've got, he said. He used the word we, and I knew it was an olive branch of sorts. He scribbled Karma, Suit, Big Bad, and Target on 4 index cards. Suit is the guy we saw today. Yes. Big Bad? I asked. Suit isn't calling the shots. You don't know that. There's no evidence. I know people. Suit's a lackey. He looked at me, eyebrows raised. You're going to tell me you think he's in charge? My gut feeling was the same as his. Keep going. I watched as he arranged the cards in a triangle with Big Bad at one peak, Suit underneath him, and then Karma and Target taking up the bottom 2 corners. You think Big Bad is really responsible for my death? I tapped the name and made up one for someone I wasn't sure even existed. Yes, yours was a mass murder, but I think he had a specific target in mind. He stared at me, let me know exactly what he was thinking. It better not have been me. That if it turned out I was hiding something. I told you I never seen that man before. I rested my chin on my hands as I stared down at the cards, the one representing me next to Target. What exactly do you think is going on? I asked. We've had employees disappear without a word or trace. I think it has something to do with your murder. I don't think he's human. But what is he? I think he's like us, and if he is, we should know about him. I've been doing this a long time and I've never seen him before. He leaned back on the couch. This is why you don't want to kill him. You think there's some other non-human group running around out there messing with things, killing people? I've never been big on conspiracy theories when there's nothing to back it up. He leaned forward, resting his arm on his knees. He was obviously talking to someone. Who? And there's been disturbances. What kind of disturbances? I leaned back against the sofa while I waited for him to explain and realized this might have been the most civil conversation we ever had. Imagine that the universe, everything that is around us, every molecule of water flowing, the tiniest cell and the smallest insect is interacting with everything else. Then there's us, and we're waiting around in this vast ocean of tides and swells. I've been feeling something bump against me. I can't see what it is, but I know it's out of place, like a leaf blowing against the wind. And you think that this guy is part of it? The more I heard, the less I liked it. Even more so that my death might be wrapped up in this somehow. Yes, he feels out of place. I knew he felt odd, but I couldn't tell he wasn't human. You're not connected enough yet. You're only picking up on really obvious things. For a transfer, it takes a while. Transfer. The word was starting to sound more and more like a slur. I wasn't going to argue with him. Less than 2 weeks left. He could call me crazy bitch if he wanted to. It didn't matter, or it shouldn't. So what now? We wait and see if I get any more clues. And what if you don't get enough clues before I move on? Then what? This new situation setup will help. I stood more tired than I should have been. I might as well get the inevitable over with. Bedrooms down the hall. It was very irritating that although I was losing my ability to read him, his perception was still right on. I'm going in there. I pointed in a direction down the hall like I was preparing to enter a minefield. You can't come in until after I fall asleep. I don't want to know you're there, because even though I definitely won't be sleeping with you, now, even if you beg, I didn't know if I'd be able to fall asleep with him next to me. Agreed. And I prefer if you were gone when I wake up as well. How am I supposed to do that? You're the almighty fate. I'm just a feeble brain transfer. You figure it out. I woke up alone in his massive bed, confirming he found a way to manage. When I rolled over, I could still smell his clean masculine scent, providing he'd been next to me all night. The guy was a jerk, but he did smell nice. I forced myself to get up before I was tempted to take a suspicious deep breath, and I would do that under no circumstances. Wanting to sleep with an attractive man was natural. Trying to smell him took it to a new low, kindergarten crush kind of low. Even I had my limits when it came to acknowledging things. If I tried to breathe in his scent, I was crushing hard. Forcing myself out of bed lent me enough deniability that it couldn't be proved. There was an adjoining bathroom, but I avoided it and opted for the common one down the hall. It might have seemed ridiculous, but I drew the line at sharing a bed. I needed my own bathroom. The house sounded empty, and I hurried, wanting to get out of there before he showed up again. Nights and work time was enough. I wasn't going to hang out at his house all day, too. There was a luncheonette not far from here. Since I didn't have my Honda, I walked there and get a taxi home after I got some breakfast and much needed coffee. This body might not have been physically addicted, but I was certainly still in need. Stepping outside, it was a beautiful sunny day. I love this time of the year. It was why I chosen to get married this month. And then I couldn't seem to stop the thoughts from rolling in. I wondered if my wedding dress was still hanging in the closet in the home I shared with Charlie. Camilla, I don't understand. Why are you so crazy lately? He paused outside the cafe. We were about to lunch in and squeezed my hand. We're going to be married next week. Where are all these fears coming from? I looked into his almond eyes, but the calm I usually felt when I was near him didn't come. I reached a hand up and ran my fingers along his cheek. My calm Charlie. Everything was going according to plan right now. I was marrying a kind man who was my best friend. I had a supportive family, great friends, and a job I love. And yet for days now, I've been plagued by a foreboding so powerful I woke up in fear every night, knowing it was irrationally, had done nothing to quell it. Standing here on a beautiful spring day, I couldn't shake the feeling that a dark shadow chased me. Honey, please don't worry. Everything is going to be fine. When he used to smile at me like that, it would make me feel like everything was right in the world, but not today. And for the last week, if I could just understand why I felt like this, Maybe I can get myself out of this funk. I don't know what's wrong. It's just this feeling. I can't get rid of it. Everything will be fine. His hands brushed my hair back from my face as he looked at me with concern. Fine. I hated that word. I didn't want fine. I wanted great and fantastic. But Charlie was a fine person. Never swung too much in either direction, and that was what I loved about him. He grounded me, so I overlooked the choice of words, knowing it was petty. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm acting like this. I smiled back at him, but it was forced and he knew it. Let's eat. I tugged him along after me into the lunchette. And that's the end of the chapter. Stay tuned for the next chapter.